Hi guys, welcome back. So, I'm going to dive in with what I've managed to get done this week. I've managed to prime everything that I wanted to prime. So I've got a box over here of stuff. Ooh, I'll just shake the camera for a bit of 3D action there. I'll put it down. So I've primed everything that I needed to prime in this box. One culprit is, and I've also got some paint laid down. So let's start straight in with the chariot. There's nothing special, it's just the purple, and all that was the black primer, and then I primed the top with the white just as normal, and then I used Vallejo's light pitch purple. Don't know where it is, it's gone walkies, but it was around here. So I used the Vallejo purple, and there you go, there's a line over there. Just thin down. Spread it on, and then to get the shadows, what I did is I dropped some FW ink, Payne's Grey, that great universal shader, into the mix, and then I just went down each of these lines, just rotated it around a few times, and then I sprayed the bottom just to bring it all together, and I think it makes it pop out quite nicely. That's pretty cool. Kind of the same with this, I sprayed it purple, and then I just added more and more layers going up towards the base here because I wanted it to fade into a lighter colour. It's nothing fancy, just getting it done. So that's done. I'll put that to side for a moment. The rest is just primed white, so nothing fancy. So I had a go with this guy. So I wanted to use my Chimera colours, and I wanted to mix up a skin tone. I thought I'd go for something African, just to test out, or at least that's how it came out anyway. I wanted to test one of the two skin mixes. So the mixture that it suggests to use for one of the darker skin tones is Chimera white, the carbon black from Chimera, red oxide from Chimera, and yellow oxide. So that, as far as I'm aware, it's very close to a Zorn palette. So you got your black and your white, and I do believe a Zorn palette tradition, I could be very wrong on this, but I do believe traditionally it's a cadmium red, which I don't have in paint. I do in oils, but I don't have in paint. And yellow ochre, which these two are incredible. I mean, that's not as bright, which means you won't get as vibrant a red as you would from a Zorn palette, but that's fine because that's not what we're going. I don't need that vibrant red, and the yellow oxide is fairly similar to yellow ochre. So mix these up, and then you get kind of like a dark African skin tone. Now you can build it up and whatnot, but I just wanted to slap some paint on with a brush because I haven't painted skin by hand in a very long time, not including contrast paints, and I wanted just to get some paint on the model, so I'm fairly happy with it. It's gone for a very dark tone. I might go in and just get some of the recesses and, you know, build them up and everything. I've also got to go through all the scars that the ogre, I think it's an ogre, the ogre pulling the chariot has all over him. So that's that done. I've then gone over all of the model with, well, all of the black I did with Drakenhof Nightshade, and then I've gone over it with a black contrast, and the really dark leathers, which doesn't show on camera as well, but it's actually like a deep burgundy colour, was done with Scale 75's black leather, and then I put thick black contrast over. Could have gone lighter, but I just wanted to get the black on there. The purple was done using the Chimera Colours Violet paint, and I just had some black and white on the palette, and I just mixed them together, so I kind of muted it out a little. And then for the lines, I just added more white, and I just did loads of little tiny streaks. Got the violet and I think I had a tiny bit of black in there. That's because it was already just in the mix. Thinned it out to a really thin glaze and just did a few glazes just to knock it all back down and mute it into one. So when you hold it here, you can see it's a bit rough and ready and everything, which is fine. Just when you hold it over here, just got a bit of interest to it. So I'm happy with that. Did have a problem with that miniature though. So around a few places, like here and around here, I noticed that when I went over it with the contrast paint, the white not the white primer, the white ink underneath lifted off. Now, I've had this problem before, fairly sure I've mentioned it before, and what I thought was happening was the ink was, or the contrast paint was potentially reactivating the ink. I know for a fact it is not, because it's still wet. It's been dried for well over a week before I touched it at all with a brush, so it is not that. But I was handling the Chariot the other day. I'm going to have to clean this off after. I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to show this. So I was touching it. There you go. Actually shows really well. Now the oil off my skin goes on there. So what I think's happened potentially is I've had just a patch of oil. Maybe not that dramatic, but I've had a patch of oil off my skin on the miniature. I'll put the white ink over so that, one sec, so I don't forget later. I'm gonna have to go back and I've touched this with my hands like all over, so I've got to go back and clean that off. Anyway, so what I think's happened is instead of having the prime surface then putting the ink on so it can bind, what I think's happened is you've got that, you've got a very thin layer of oil, and in some parts the ink has adhered to the primer and in some parts it's adhered to the oil. So when I go over the top with the brush, that comes off, and because that's come off, it can peel away from there. Could be very wrong. I'm far from an expert on how paint works on miniatures, especially at that level, but it would explain why that's happening. So as a result, luckily we've got a load of latex gloves in the house, so I'm going to be wearing latex gloves when handling miniatures. And I'm also thinking of getting myself a paint handle, so that way, even if I touch the miniature, I'm trying to find more fingerprints now. It shouldn't. That's just a bit of fluff that's already on there. If I touch a miniature, it shouldn't, because these are powderless. So shouldn't cause any issues. I could be utterly wrong, but that's that. Anyway, so that's my little debacle with paint lifting and my potential solution. So I decided last night I'm gonna have a bit of fun with these guys. So I wanted blue and I didn't want to go an airbrush, so I've been thinking, okay, well, I could try the Pterodon turquoise. This, after getting it on the palette, I'm like 99% sure this is phthalo green blue shade ink. That'd be the closest to this. That's not turquoise. Not turquoise as in the... It's not this turquoise. Which is fine, because I suppose turquoise is a mix on any scale. But this is the colour I wanted it. So what I did was... I'll have a little experiment, and I put a few drops of contrast medium onto my palette with a drop or two of the ink. Test it out because I've never done it A and B. This is pretty powerful stuff. So I dropped that in and then just thought, oh, it should work. Semi-transparent. contrast medium will help it flow just like normal contrast paint. And you know what? I mean, that works for me. That really works for me. I'm really happy with that. The black is just contrast paint. And that is my own little mixed contrast paint. Works brilliantly. I tested it on a bigger surface. I didn't actually look at it last night, so yeah, I mean, that'll do just fine. And on the little halfling hobbit thing. I like that. I'm very happy with that. I'll be using that in the future. We got, I don't know what their name is, but okay, so we did the same gold on this chap as I did on the Painbringers, because he's just like a noted Painbringer. So I thought he'd have the same colour armour, so pretty orange from there. We also did, right, so the shadows on this, instead of doing it with the inks like I did before, I did it with the Pterodon turquoise and then Leviathan blue. That is a very dark blue. So when it's gone over the like orange ink, the burnt sienna ink, which is very reddish brown, goes a non-chromatic black, which as you can see it has like in the recesses there. So when it stands, it's got quite a nice shadow. I'll put it up here a little bit and up there a little bit. So I think it's got quite a nice bit of definition. Yeah, so I did that, and that was over the same gold mixture like I've done before. Hit from the top with a light highlight. Gold is pretty much done. Obviously I've got to go and blackwash it now. Sigvald, and I've painted this Sigvald twice, and the reason I painted it twice is because I was not very happy with how my shadows were. That greave was brighter than it was this side. I just didn't like it. The shadow I got was nice on the first go. It was a bit nicer than this one, but whatever. So that's Sigvald's armour. Now, what I did different with Sigvald is instead of using the antiqued gold pigment, I used gold. Not too much of a difference, but I think there was a subtle difference in that when this dried, this ended up looking brighter. Now, it looks, that's kind of how it goes on. You can see we've Nadial sprayed the burnt sienna, I keep forgetting, burnt sienna transparent Liquitex ink. We've Nadial sprayed that, and then in the deepest shadows I've also gone with that same Pterodon turquoise and Leviathan blue. Leviathan blue. And that's given the shadows like here. I've put a shadow on here, on this side, because the shield's going over it, so this side of the greave is going to have a lot of shadow. Click around the back. Again, exactly the same. A bit of shading in there. A little more green showing through, but that's fine. And then I've quite heavily done it around here. Now the reason I thought I'd do it around here is the massive cloak is going to be going from here up, so that's going to be in shadow a little. But when you look, and it's done on both sides, a little less heavy this side because it's more open, but I think what it does is it focuses the light into the centre, so kind of puts it into a V, and that's a very aesthetically pleasing look for like it's got that Adonis look, you want the large shoulders, small waist kind of thing, and it naturally makes you only focus on the ab muscles on the armour here. So it's, I think personally, it's got that V. Now again, we did the exact same. We added a bit of silver to the same gold mix, but when you look from that angle, that is very bright. So yeah, done that. I'll have to go over the purple because it's got a bit of gold spray, because I had to redo the armour after I did the purple. But I think sigvald is coming along quite nicely. I put a bit of gold onto Slaanesh, so nothing too fancy. Ready for the skin to be done, which I'm thinking I might do in contrast paint. I might just go over. Well, I will be going over here with an airbrush just to get the going over here in the airbrush just to get the white back to a white. But yeah, contrast paint will do that fine. Never know, I might even do the contrast paint with an airbrush, maybe. We'll see. Not worth mentioning too much really, I suppose, but while we're here, I also got some colours back onto the 3D printed keeper, so we can move forward with that. Need to obviously put some more on the front, but what are you going to do? Right, and that's this week's work. So hopefully next week I'll get some more colours down. I'm going to be ordering a painting handle, so that'll be all fun to use. And yeah guys, nice bit of work for this week. Catch you next time. Bye. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment and subscribe. Also be sure to check out our Facebook page at Wolfen Studios, the link's in the description. As always, thanks for stopping by, catch you next time.